Many people think all running shoes are the same. They are not. So, if you're serious about running, your first decision isn't what distance to run, it's what you're going to run in. Overall, is the hype really worth it?
Most beginner runners think the biggest challenge is building stamina. But what if I told you your biggest mistake could happen even before you take your first step? Welcome back to another episode of the Ironman Challenge at BHIVE Season 2. We're diving into two important aspects of running: choosing the right shoes and understanding why different runners need different shoes. In this episode, Monnappa, Anil and Shreyas at SportsYard share simple tips on picking the right shoes, running better and avoiding common mistakes. We'll also check on Sharvari's 10K training progress and decode a key running terminology every runner should know.
Hi, my name is Monnappa. As many of you may know, through the journey at BHIVE, I had this identity of an athlete. Started with half marathons, moved into ultra marathons, trail running and so on, and did my first 100K last year. So we are here today to sort of demystify the whole world of running shoes. We are here at SportsYard, a 360-degree destination built around a philosophy that I closely relate to. Sports is a way of life. So yeah, I found it amazing that, they could house so many different brands under one roof. Irrespective of what brand one is looking at, you can look at categories and see what works best for you as an individual, and that's something that I loved here. I have Shreyas and Anil Gorti here, who know a lot about this world, and they'll help us demystify the whole thing.
My name is Coach Shreyas, running coach and founder of Runners 360. I'm a sub-3 marathoner and I've been running for the last 17-18 years and I've been coaching for the last 10 years.
I'm Anil Gorti. I'm a 304 marathoner. I've run 21 marathons, including all 6 majors. In the last 15 years, I've run close to 30,000 kilometers. Let's see what I've learned from there and what I can share here.
Today, we're going to decode the world of running shoes. We'll go through the terminologies, the technology behind the shoes, what shoes work best for each one of us, and overall, is the hype really worth it? It just appears that, shoes has taken over as the most important part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Do you think it's that important?
Of course, very important, very rightly said. Now, for example, let me ask you a very basic question. Which part of your body is touching the ground?
Yep, the feet.
The feet. What is covering the feet?
Shoes.
Shoes, right? There are other different parts of the body which you use to run, but
Yeah.
it's the foot that is touching the ground.
Yeah.
So basically, every time you strike the foot to the ground while running, it takes about 5 times the force of your body weight. In fact, I can just, share my own experience, despite of which, I got a 6mm drop shoe. Okay, I did a couple of runs with that. I could feel a lot of pain in my calf and the heel. That is because I'm a heel striker. So that shoe was putting a lot of stress on my forefoot, which is connected to my calf, because of which I was getting heel pain. Immediately, I shifted to a 10mm drop shoe. It is even more important because the muscles have not adapted.
I can relate to that. I think at some point in my running career, I used stability shoes.
Yeah.
I ended up having shin splints. I think
Yeah.
in my case, I guess the stability sort of altered my running form
Yeah,
and
yeah.
possibly led to splints.
Stability shoes are for people where the ankle inverts on their landing. So basically, when you land like this,
Yeah.
there's a bit of an inversion of the ankle. The shoe has got enough of support to see to that the ankle is not rolling in for people who do not have any arch.
Yeah.
So what is arch? Arch is basically the distance between the ground and the midfoot.
Mid.
But if you do not have any of it, you go for a neutral shoe.
So what is pronation? Overpronation, if you could touch upon that.
See, all of us will have some kind of minor pronation. If you look at any runner, when he strikes the heel to the ground or the foot to the ground, you'll see some kind of ankle rolling inside, which is okay.
Okay.
But as long as that is not giving you any pain, you can still stick to your neutral shoes.
Okay.
But then some people experience a lot of pain depending on the amount of inversion of the ankle that's happening.
Yeah.
So based on that, you pick up the shoe that works for you.
Is it advisable to use a stability shoes always if someone, let's say, has a flat foot or a very low arch?
See, that's a very interesting question. In fact, maybe like 7-8 years ago, anybody who had a pronation, they would blindly go for a stability shoe. And I've seen people, all right, when they use a stability shoe, they get different kinds of issues. Pain has increased, shin splints, because what is happening is for 80% of the runners with pronation, stability shoes have not worked. I have seen many people who started with shoes with pronation, constantly kept on working on the strength, overall strength, and then over a period of time, they've been able to come out of it and use neutral shoes.
So we spoke about neutral and stability shoes. What about cushioning?
Cushioning is again very subjective. So I think this is something that you have to take a chance. Probably you do a little bit of that's why, right, when you go to a showroom, there's a bit of a treadmill or there's a track like this. So you do a little bit of experiment there and see what is comfortable. But I would generally say that it's always good to have, soft cushion, which can absorb and then give that energy return.
And I've seen a lot of beginners go into a store and look at buying a carbon plate. Comfort versus performance, beginner versus experience. So how do we sort of deconstruct that?
Comfort first, performance next. If you're not comfortable, you're not going to perform. So carbon plate shoes, I would always say that, give it some time. At least give it like 3 to 4 years of consistent running. Okay, and then if you see if your timings are progressing and if you're not improving there, then you can go for a carbon plated shoe. So it's not very significant, improvement that you'll get in a carbon plate shoe. Okay, that is ultimately when you've done everything, then you're not improving, then get a carbon plate shoe.
So one other consideration a lot of people have is, how much should I spend? Significant majority would want to start small. How do we solve that? What kind of considerations should be okay?
Each of us have got different, spending capacity.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when somebody comes, you say, okay, you buy, 15,000 rupees shoe, you buy a Garmin, and then you get a trainer. Already that's 60, 70,000. It's still a lot. There are shoes from, let's say, 5,000 to 15,000. Okay. But I would still say the sweet spot is around that 9,000 to 11,000. So even if you keep aside, let's say 10,000 rupees, if you look for good offers, you'll still land up probably a 30% discount and get a 10,000 rupee shoe for a 7,000 rupees. Your shoe takes a lot of impact.
Yeah.
So just keeping that extra amount of money for that is going to really, ensure that you're enjoying running. Because when you wake up in the morning, you have to be excited, right? A nice pair of shoes will make you do that.
The last thing you want to see a runner is start with a very
Wrong shoe.
low quality
low quality wrong shoe.
and then get injured and then say running is not for me. People will understand themselves, what shoes work best, and as they become more experienced runners, that's where they can go for higher range shoes and stuff. Yeah. Perfect. Thanks a lot, Shreyas.
Thank you, sir.
Very useful.
Thanks. Yeah.
Choosing the right running shoe is one of the many ways to improve your running journey. Now, speaking of improvements, let's take a look at Sharvari. She's been training consistently for the past few weeks, and the progress is already showing. If you don't know Sharvari's story yet, be sure to check out our previous Ironman series episode by clicking the icon above.
Hi, this is Sharvari. I'm sure you've seen me earlier in the Ironman Challenge series. Ever since I started my journey as a beginner, I've been working towards finishing one ambitious goal. And today I'll be pushing myself to complete a 10K run. This run isn't about covering the distance. It's about testing my limits, building my confidence, and also answering a lot of questions that I've had about myself along the way. So, without further ado, let's run.
Today, she'll run towards Trinity Metro Station, pass through Cubbon Park, Chinnaswamy Stadium to BHIVE Platinum Church Street campus. That's one lap with 3 checkpoints, and she'll complete 2 full laps to hit the 10K mark.
Okay, done. Done. Final lap to go. Done. My legs hurt. 3 more K to go. I can do this. last 100 meters. I can see the finish line right there. Let's go. $10K done, finally. Well, today's run wasn't about completing 10K, it was about pushing myself forward. One milestone done and the journey continues.
I think one of the key terminology I understand is stack height.
Yeah.
If you could explain what stack height is.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Since now we have shoes here, we can just, speak on a more practical aspect.
Yeah.
So basically, stack height is nothing but, the distance between the cushion at the heel and the ground. So this is called as a stack height, this bit, okay? This is the fundamental, very, in basic language, the height between the heel and the ground, the cushion, that is a stack height.
Okay. And that leads to a new metric, right? The heel to toe ratio.
Yeah.
Or heel to toe drop. How do you explain a heel to toe drop?
Now, I'll explain this, first in just one line. Now, again, if you look at the shoe, right? Does it look even?
No.
Does the shoe look even? Not really, right? So, what do you feel when you look at the shoe?
There's an incline.
There is a decline, like slowly decline, right? So now, the difference. Now, let's say this is about 43 mm, the stack height, okay, at the heel. Now, if you look at the decline, this will probably around 36 mm. Approximately, just saying, okay? What's the difference? 43 and 36, 7 mm.
Yeah.
So the heel to toe drop is 7 mm.
Okay.
Approximately what I'm saying,
Right.
So the difference between this and this is called as a heel to toe drop.
The challenges are getting tougher and the progress is getting bigger. And Ironman Challenge at BHIVE Season 2 is only picking up pace. Stay tuned for what's next.